Here is this child in Africa, I believe, or Haiti, and they're saying that malaria is still killing and it's killing more than we acknowledge or recognize. And this reminds me of Europe during the Black Plague and other things like that in the early times when the kids were black from the soot that came from burning the coal and so on, and the mortality rate was high and death and so forth. But Europe has come far away. The point of this video is this, though, that I wonder if Europe could come like this again, if it could resort to the past. And all indications, I could say yes and no. Maybe there's not enough time for that because the Lord is about to come back anyway. But with the Christian Reformation, things have moved on, and things improved to the point where industrial revolution management, new management concepts and a whole variety of other things, and we've come far away from where things were. But with the death of the Reformation and the resorting back to ancient types of thoughts and behaviors and so forth, it's likely that this could happen again, especially with the debt crisis that's looming. It has the potential to cause a collapse, and who knows to the level it could go back to the past. People become so poor that disease, people can't afford medicine, and medicine's not available, and death start increasing. So yeah, it could happen, and that is, I guess, a shame, and it would be a serious mistake and a blot on Europe. However, as I said, the Lord may return before that, so we won't get there. But they need to keep this in mind, that certain things lead to this, because Africa was a proud, important empire, Egyptian empire, and they brought the world forward. They developed agricultural science, astronomy, medicine, a variety of other things that we will not even know because Europe, Babylon, Syria, Iran, or Medo-Persian, or Greece, and all the others have dovetailed it and it looks like their thing, and we don't know exactly what came with Africa. But God said that Babylon was gold, and that every succeeding empire will be inferior to them. And since Babylon overthrew Africa, then we can say that the higher metal or higher mineral would be diamond, and it fit into be a crown. So Africa was that diamond crown, and so by virtue of that alone, you could know that they had been more important than all the rest. Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Rome, Germany, everybody current now, and what God could have meant though. I mean, people are not superior to others. We all same thing. We all could just make a couple nails, a couple matches, a couple tooth with the calcium in our body and so forth. But I guess what it meant though is that in Egypt they calculated the distance to the sun and to the moon. And today with computers and space flight, we discover that it's just a fraction, just a couple discrepancies, just a couple miles maybe off. And that's fantastic to have done it with whatever method they used. And with accurate things now, it's not too far off. So that alone will show. And they had other things to where they went into like voodoo, worshiping, the sun. And that is happening in Europe still. They had a female god, Mother Isis, and the sun god was Ra, and so on. So there's the evil we could see coming down. Of course, this was after the flood, and you had other, peoples that were there. But I guess the organizing of people after the flood, Egypt excelled. You had at the same time though, you had Assyria and you had Lydia, but Egypt seemed to have been the superpower of all of them. Though they reigned in different areas, Egypt wasn't dominant like had the whole world. They just had Africa, I guess, and some fringe other places, Europe and other places, and I'm not sure where Syria was. and where Lydia was. But I know that they were co-regents. They were ruling at the same time. And so, um, look how Africa is today. And it's because of, evil. God said, let my people go. Let Egypt, let Israel and other slaves go. And they're saying that no. And they said yes, and then said no. And they even pursued them into the Red Sea, and according to the scriptures, made them drown and so on. And the Pharaohs used to go out in the battle. So some reigning Pharaohs got drowned there, or except he was on the bank and sent his troops in. Um, and so with Europe today, and they had the slavery thing going, which was more like a payback. You did us, enslave us, we enslave you back. And you promise us, reparation, we can promise you the same thing too. So everybody, every race has been, a slave master. Blacks were slave master. Babylonians were, Egyptians were. Iran was, Greece, Rome, Europe, or Germany, which is England and all that, in Germany, the different tribes were in different places. So the whole third world had been colonies of these Europeans. And so, Europe could end up like Africa because, when we allow evil to take over, some of them call themselves, we are secular societies. Like, this is something new. And this is so fantastic. It's like, you've always had that in the past, and it always led to declension and death. I don't see why they'll embrace it, but some way, somehow, folks are intoxicated with the deception from the enemy, both Satan and the Antichrist, the human Antichrist. And so I do hope, though, that Europe would catch on real quick and avert this kind of a situation themselves by you see, what I think, though, when I said everybody had been slaves and had enslaved others, this is the time, though, we should say, you know what, we all did the whole deal. Let us work together. Let us get the best from wherever we want the best. Whether the black, yellow, red, or white, we want the best, because our thing is so important that, and we know that no one race has all the brilliance and all the ideas. We're going to bring everybody together, and who have talent, we can give them the opportunity, and those who don't have, well, there are other things you could do as opposed to, being up front and running things when you don't have a clue. So Europe, watch out. You're not, recanting that slavery position, and you're still prejudiced and not accepting people as equals. You think that you're superior to others. That's the kind of thing that will lead to this coming back to Europe. So watch it, Europe.